Yeah,
And I pressed it before he said yes anyway. So, you're stuck now, to be honest. I didn't give you them 3 seconds to,
yeah.
vent or say anything you didn't want off camera. You're with me now. So,
Yeah, all good.
perfect.
We're
I'll do my.
captives.
So I got me Rob Grace and my laptop. Absolutely love it. Um, Hello, guys. Welcome to another
One of
episode.
us isn't that good with technology.
I'm taking a wild guess which one that is. But you're the one with the beer. So, the trust is swinging both ways a little bit now. Or some of it. Hello, welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me the two guys who run Barking Toad Comedy. I'm guessing by Barking Toad, we can guess where this place is located.
Have a guess.
Hmm. Barking, 10 points.
No,
Boo.
no, no, not even close. Not even close.
Keep going though.
So,
We've got all night.
yeah, yeah. Barking toad. There is a link to barking, a
Yeah,
very tenuous link to barking. Um, how much do you know about Derek and Clive?
not much.
As in Peter Cook and Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
So this showing our age now. So Peter Cook and Dudley Moore, back from the 60s, fantastic comedy duo. They went on to do something a bit further on called Derek and Clive. And Derek and Clive was a lot more adult,
Filthy.
shall we say? Yeah, filthy is a good word. Um, you can absolutely guarantee they'd be cancelled within about 10 minutes these days. Um, but they had a sketch on one of their albums that was about this set of underpants that one of their mates had that had a rare breed of toad in them, and it was called the Barking Toad. And misheard by Dudley Moore, he thought it was like the Romford and Barking Toad. And he went,
Right.
no, no, it's a toad that barks.
It
So
goes
that's
woof.
where goes woof. So that's where Barking Toad came from. So me and Matt, years ago when we got started putting shows on in Cirencester, which is where we're from, which is in Gloucestershire in the Cotswolds, we decided we were going to put a night on, and we said that we didn't want to tie it to the venue that we were at, so we could be a little bit more fluid and move it around if we wanted to. And we were sort of we're trying to come up with ideas what we're going to call ourselves. And as I was walking home from the pub after our meeting, I was listening to the Derek and Clive album in my headset, and suddenly Barking Toad came out, and I went, "That's it, that's the fella." So that's where Barking Toad came from.
It stemmed from the pub.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, quite right.
So did you intend just to be a one-off night thing, or did you plan on sort of like doing monthly events?
It
Well,
was
I,
always going
I
to be monthly.
Yeah, I did a one-off, which is actually where me and Matt met to start off with our comedy relationship, because I did a one-off night, a charity night at a local pub, and Matt came along was one of the acts. And after doing that, because we didn't know many people in the local area who were acts, there was sort of like me and Matt, and that was about it. We sort of got together and said, "Fancy putting a night on," because where we are in Cirencester, there's not a lot going on of this nature. So, you go down Bristol way, there's quite a bit, and up into Birmingham, go across into Oxford, that sort of way, it starts to get a little bit busier. But where we are, there's nothing going on. So for us, we're going, well, how do we get more comedy? How do we get more nights? We'll put a night on ourselves. So we decided right from the get go, we're going to do like a monthly night to start off with. It's changed a little bit recently, but that was the intention. We were going to put a monthly night on in a venue in Cirencester. So, yeah.
But basically, we wanted stage time, didn't we? We were both
Pretty much.
looking for a way to get more stage time.
Do you fight over
Exactly.
who's the MC and who's the headliner each time?
We tend to
Well, we
fight over who doesn't do MC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. But the
Okay.
way our night works is basically we have sort of three sections. So what that ends up being is we sort of share the MC duties. So every other month we'll do two sections, and then one will do one section, and we flip it the following week. So we share it across the month. So
What is the sort of layout of the night?
I'll let you talk, Matt, because I've said a lot.
You have. There's no stopping you once you get started, is there? You're a conversational locomotion. The way it works, we have. I'm going to get it wrong because I never remember this. So the night falls into three parts. We have a couple of 10-minute spots in the first section. Then we have another couple of 10-minute spots in the second section, and we finish off with the headliner. So what will happen is, so the next one is in August, and is it my turn to do the two, and you do the one?
It is, yeah, yeah. It's
So
yours. Yeah.
yeah. So bloody hell, I'll I'll do the first bit. I'll introduce that. Rob will introduce the middle bit, and then I'll introduce the headliner.
Okay. And how do you go about finding the comedians, or do they approach you? Is there like a process for them to go through?
Oh, there's a process. There has to be a process. We don't just grab them off the street. What kind of people do we look like?
They do in London.
Yeah. You'll do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Ours is done through application. So we put a form out. So we look at the comedy forums for like Bristol, like Southwest, Birmingham, Midlands, that sort of stuff. And generally through Facebook, I'll just put a post out saying we're looking for acts. And this go to our website, fill the form in, and then we go through the process of looking at the videos that get sent, and then decide who we think is going to fit the profile for the night. What we try and balance it as much as we possibly can, mainly around style. I mean, I know it might sound unpopular with regards to looking at inclusion. We are inclusive of anybody who's funny. And that's our.
Look, spit it out.
I've got a cliffhanger.
Styles more than Sorry, it was like breaking up a little bit. I keep getting the thing saying my internet connection is unstable. It's the joy of living in science, our internet connection is powered by gas.
Yeah, you're pedaling under the desk, aren't you?
Exactly. I'm going like fury under it. You should see my legs.
Either that or his wife is.
So you're saying about being inclusive to it, like anyone and everyone is where we got to.
Yeah. It doesn't matter creed, color, nationality. You could be an alien as far as I'm concerned. As long as you're funny, I don't care. So what we do is try to mix the night up with different styles if we possibly can. And be as inclusive as possible. Our audience is great. Our audience you just got to make them laugh, and they'll be on your side. What we do find interesting running it is the applications that we get aren't necessarily all that diverse. So it's difficult sometimes to get that balance.
It's difficult and frustrating.
Yeah.
From that perspective of you want diversity in your night, people, what we get is pretty much all white men, isn't it? It's mostly the people who apply.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about that. That just is what it is.
Yeah. And we go through all the applicants. We go through every application. We watch all the videos. Then we will get together in a pub and argue about it for about half an hour. Normally, we're in agreement, aren't we, Rob? Normally, we say actually, the best 4 or 5 are these ones. These are the ones that made us laugh.
Have you ever had a "I told you so" moment where one of you was like been a bit of a flip of a coin?
I think we have.
Yeah, we have. We definitely have. There was one. I'm not going to name the gig just in case anybody watching actually went to the gig. But there was one gig fairly recently where I'd said for quite some time there's one particular guy that I didn't really see on a night. And, he's not awful, but I just didn't see him on the night. And you booked him, and we got to the end of it and went, "See, told you."
Okay.
And at least you had the courtesy to go, "Yeah, I agree with you."
But we gave a guy a shot. So that's
we did, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so,
it wasn't the damage.
Let's say hypothetically, I always say hypothetically, but I'm just going to say myself. Say I was applying to a gig at your place. I go through the website. if it's 10 minute slot, I presume you want to see a 10-minute video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
And is that 10-minute video a vetting process, or would you want me to do the material I've sent you on the night?
It's a vetting process. What you do on the night is entirely up to you.
Okay.
It's we we want to try to make sure that it isn't a full, somebody doesn't go on with a notebook in their hand.
Yeah.
Is just trying all new material. But we leave it up to the act to determine what they want to do. For the most part, our acts are good. They just go on and do stuff that they're confident with, and they've run through many times. But some people do go on, try some new stuff out, and we don't really mind that. And if they tell the audience, sometimes they might go on. Yeah.
We say it's a vetting process. A lot of that vetting, maybe about 60%, is to do with interaction with the audience. Not in terms of, the kind of, talking to the audience and reacting to what the audience say, but more what somebody is like on stage and how the audience relates to that person.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I would say that's 60% of it.
Okay.
I
And so,
agree. I was just going to say the other side of that is sometimes you just get a gut feeling for somebody. So you could get somebody who's like a bit of a newbie, and you can tell they're a little bit raw around the edges. And sometimes we'll go, well, let's just give them a chance, give them stage time, because we've been in a boat. Yeah, and actually, when we started doing this, my main driver, and I said to Matt right at the get go, was this has to be for the act. So the priority is for the act. It isn't for the audience, it isn't for the venue, it isn't for us, it's for the act, because we're acts as well. And we know what it's like to be on the flip side of it and how difficult it can be to get stage time sometimes. Now, if we give them that, then they do owe us back something that they're going to do something well. But we will also look at some people and go, just give them a chance. Let's see where they are. And sometimes we'll just drop one in, a newbie into the set. If we've got a lineup that we know is quite strong, we'll put one in there and just see how they go. And hopefully they'll. And we've never really had any bombs, have we? We've been quite fortunate in that respect.
Yeah, but that's not fortunate. That's because we choose well.
Yeah. But sometimes the night brings out a good performance in somebody. So I think we try to make it as comfortable and as easy for the acts as possible, so that they can have the best night that they can. So.
Okay. And how do you decide so you've got your 5 people on the night, you got your headline. How do you decide what order the 4 go in?
There's 2 levels to that, really, isn't there? So on one hand, you've got the idea that you're looking at those acts and thinking, it'd be great to start with that person because they're pretty strong, and then follow with that person. So in your head, you've got this idea of this is going to be how it's going to run perfectly. But then you've got the secondary thing of how far have people come. There are no buses or trains into Cirencester. I mean, there are, but you're struggling. So then you've got to think about act safety, act welfare. You've got to think of how far people have got to drive back. So you take that into account too. And so if somebody's come a long, long way, then you want them to go on pretty early, really, so they've got a chance to get home before the next day.
Okay. And what etiquette would you expect from a comedian coming to your place on the night?
Keep your trousers on.
I won't bother applying then. Waste my time.
I think to me, getting there before the gig starts, because the amount of times we've had lateness that have just caused me palpitations. We never really had. We had one guy who didn't turn up at all because he thought it was the following night.
Oh God, do you remember that?
You remember? Yeah. So our headliner had to do an extra 20 minutes, which was. But he was great. He just stepped into it and did what he did. We knew we could do it, which made it interesting. But so punctuality is one good thing. Communication really is key. Yeah. Making sure that you keep us up to speed with what you're doing. If there are any problems, just let us know. And yeah, I mean, we don't really put many expectations on the acts, do we? We try
We're
not
quite
to.
relaxed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they
It's
get a
all
free
quite
drink when they get
civilized.
there as well. So, yeah.
Okay. And since we're going since 2019, how has like the event evolved over the years? Like, what things have you changed?
We've changed
Well,
venue a few times.
venue. Yeah, we're on our third venue now.
Okay.
That's mainly through COVID. COVID affected that. Because our starting venue was one where we were upstairs, a decent, really nice little venue, and the venue supported us quite well, which is very good. And then COVID
Yeah.
hit, that just threw it out. And then during that time, you remember there was like people were changing their buildings so that people could sit and drink and smoke outside, and so they actually put a roof bar in, and the staircase went right up through where we used to do the gig. So
It
that
just
scuffed
wasn't
that a bit.
tenable anymore. But even then,
Yeah.
if you remember, Rob, when we first started there, it was a real faff having to move those pool tables.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Do you
Pool
remember
tables
that?
are really heavy. They're
Yeah.
really heavy when you got to move them. Yeah.
I'm glad we're
And
not
then
doing
we
that
moved to
anymore.
no, we then moved to another venue which were very good, but unfortunately, very sadly, the landlord contracted terminal cancer quite early into this stint.
Yeah.
So he never actually saw one of the nights, did he?
No.
And I think actually not. He would have been very, very supportive because he was always good for things like that. But that venue sort of drifted a little bit, and some nights we were absolutely full, other nights nobody, sort of 3 or 4 people. You could never guarantee from one to the other. And then we picked up the venue we're at the moment, and they've been fantastic. The support they've
They've
given
been
us has
great.
been brilliant. Yeah.
Big shout out to
And
the Hop Kettle in Cirencester.
absolutely, yeah. And if anybody's looking for any advice on running a night, getting venue support is absolutely critical. You want them on board. You want them promoting the
Mhm.
night. You want them to be putting as much effort as you are into marketing, because they will bring their punters in. Now, there's an audience there that are coming into their pub every night, so get them in. So
And
if
they
you could
also
do
know
that,
which
you're a winner.
punters to kind of bat away.
Yeah,
Because particularly when you're starting a night, you always get the kind of the blokes at the bar who think, oh yeah, of course, everyone loves hecklers at comedy night.
Okay, yeah.
And a good venue will kind of usher them out before the night starts.
Okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Then policing, it's good.
okay, so how would you deal with hecklers on one of your nights? Not just like a normal heckler, like, your proper grade A is there to be a prick.
Uh, I think we probably give them one chance, give them a warning, and say
Yeah.
like you need to settle down. Some acts can cope with it better than others, so you see how the act is dealing with it. And if they're not, then they get a warning, and if that warning doesn't go heeded, then they'd be out. We'd get rid of them.
Okay. And so what is the during your nights? What's one of like the worst things that's gone wrong?
But during one of our
Oh,
nights,
yeah. I don't.
we,
We haven't had anything drastic,
we've
have
not.
we?
Oh, I need wood to touch.
Yeah, right.
So far,
we have
there's not
no, we
been
haven't
much
had
that's
anything
gone that
massive.
wrong.
No,
We've had a couple
we
of
have had.
nights where we've had no audience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's happened a couple of
That's
times,
probably the
but
worst. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
other than
Nothing actually. I mean, we haven't had anybody sort of like stripping himself naked and running around the room or anything like that. That's somebody taking a shit on the stage. Nothing along those lines. Yeah, no audience as well. We have had a couple of guys that thought that they were funny and started shouting a lot of stuff out that we had to get rid of. But yeah, for the most part, you got to remember we live in Cirencester, which is a nice refined area full of posh people who don't do that sort of thing. So we're
when we're talking about people with like salmon pink trousers and tweed jackets.
Yes.
Exactly.
All the coloured chinos in the wardrobe.
That's the one.
Okay, so you said
Yeah. Don't know how to wear a jumper. They sort of wrap it around them and tie it up.
that's their sign of aggression.
That's the one.
Go
Yeah,
on then.
tie the knot.
Like the jumper's tied.
Yeah.
So
Shit, look at the knot on him.
he's clearly a sailor. God.
Yeah.
So we said the one word. What's like one of the worst things someone has done on stage?
I'll let you answer that, Matt.
What? Ah, but we've at our night, we've not seen anything terrible, have we? I mean,
No,
but
but
we've.
I will say, my experience of one of the worst things I've seen was at a gig in Bristol that we went to, where we were actually running material ourselves.
I know what you're going to say. Is this the
Yeah,
gynecological
his
gentleman?
Peddling.
yes, yeah. So I basically he went on. I think either his girlfriend had told him he was funny at some point and decided that was enough to take up stand-up comedy. His material was just weird. He was just bizarre. At one point he was asking people whether we'd been born. I mean, were you born? Were you born? And he came out with this
Born?
thing.
Were you
Yeah,
born?
and he came out with this theory that if you the fact that your dad had sex with your mum at the point of ejaculation, you were part of that sexual encounter, and therefore you've been involved in
Threesome with your parents.
a threesome with your parents.
Oh.
That
And
was odd.
yeah, it was very, very
Yeah, he
bizarre.
revisited later on in life.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen him again since. He had
No,
this pair of
No.
glasses that he was modelling like Rose West. That was his what he was.
and
And
I was at a gig a couple of years ago, and the they allowed one of the audience members to get up and join in, and she had like a severed head. Um, she was like
So
a woman in her 70s, and she had like it's like she was a ventriloquist puppet, severed bloke's head. Looked a bit
okay.
like a zombie. And she sang a duet with it. What's it all about, Alfie? That was very odd, and I had to follow that. I'll never forget that moment.
Oh, when you hear those stories, you sort of you don't say the comedy. It might not be for you, but you try and look at the comical aspect behind it.
yeah,
What were they trying to achieve?
Yeah,
mm,
And you can do
yeah,
just draw a blank sometimes, don't you?
absolutely, yeah, yeah. There's some bits that you go right because everything's subjective at the end of
yeah.
the day. It's like
Mhm.
music. See, some people like certain kinds of music I can't get my head around. But
Mm.
there's certain things you can go right. I don't understand that, but I can see what they're trying to do, or I can see they're good at that.
Mm.
I can see they're good at their own thing. But some things you look at it and go, no, I'm just lost. Just got
Yeah.
you've lost me completely. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, it's like when is it
And
going from being courageous on stage to outright delusion?
yeah, exactly. I think you have to. I think you have to get there to be outrageous on stage. You have to have a back catalogue of something that is a little, not necessarily normal, but something that has enabled you to get to that point. And a case in point I'll put is Johnny Vegas when he
Mm.
did a gig in a church where he actually did a shit on stage. He was
Brilliant.
pretending to be a dog, and a little bit of poo came out. And but you see, with Johnny Vegas, he had a back catalogue that allowed him to do that. You know what I mean? If you or I
This
would
Can you
turn up
have a
and
back
was this
catalogue
Fat
that
Johnny
allows
or
you to
Skinny
do that?
Johnny? Was this Fat Johnny or Skinny
this
Johnny?
this would have been Fat Johnny, I would imagine, because this was that would have been in his early days.
That was a
That would
while
have
ago.
been yeah, that would have been a while ago when he had
Um,
but see he would have been able to get away with it. Whereas if some a newbie came up and turned up on our stage and then suddenly decided they were going to urinate everywhere, you go nah.
well, you're really not selling the night to me so far, Rob. You know, I can't give a dick out. I can't shit on stage. I mean, I don't
Oh
know what
man.
comedy's about anymore.
It's not for everyone, sadly.
Mind you,
So,
if you send us a video of you doing it, we'll have to judge it. And we'll put it through on merit. You know what I mean?
yeah, as long as you promise you watch the full 10 minutes, you know, it gets good
Exactly.
after
Yeah,
the eighth
yeah.
minute. It's a slow burner. So, say if someone comes to your night and they absolutely, you know, they are the worst of the worst. They do all the most taboo shit going. As the event owners, how would you bring the room back?
Oh God.
Can't beat them, join them.
Well, that's
That's
one for you, Matt. How would
yeah.
you do
That's
that?
that
I
involves
don't know.
uh, that's just good MC comparing work, isn't it? Um, you you can't really acknowledge it directly. You can't get up there and say, "Well, that act was shit, wasn't it?" But there's a kind of knowing nod, a knowing smile, um, because you you're hoping to have the audience on your side. So you've got to enter into sort of that kind of relationship with them where, yeah, I know that you know that went wrong, and you know that I know that went wrong. So now what we need to do is just kind of relax a bit, and I think relaxing is the key. Just relaxing into the rest of the night and giving people a chance to kind of take a step back from it.
Do you get
I don't know.
regular customers, like regular audience?
A few.
Yeah, we
It's
get a
weird,
mixture,
isn't
don't
it,
we?
Rob?
Yeah,
Because
it
we
it is.
we tend to get a lot of new people each month. We've got a few people who are always there, um,
Mm,
and it's always full. With again, I'm touching wood, right? It's always full, isn't it?
yeah.
We usually pack the place out, but quite often it's when we say who's been here before, we look around and just there aren't that many, which is
No, I
good
think
because
I think
we
the
get to
last
do the
one.
same stuff.
I think the last one we did was the one with the most returnees because there was more returnees than newbies. But yeah, like you say, it can be a 50-50 split. It can be sometimes more newbies than anything, which does worry me sometimes because I think well people aren't coming back. But like you say, we pack the room out, so it's not a problem. I do like to think though that our vetting process
Yeah,
is
Split
good enough
bangers.
to prevent some of the really outrageous stuff because
yeah,
we wouldn't necessarily stop somebody doing outrageous stuff. Like I say, if I watched the video and there was somebody doing something really outrageous and I find it hilarious, I get them on. I bring them on and let them do it. But it would be rare that we would find somebody to do a set that we weren't aware of up front. Because generally the people that we have on aren't of that nature. They'll come on and do what they know, and generally what they've shared is what they know. That's their style. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
We've usually seen everything they do.
Okay,
yeah,
so would you say on stage and in general in the comedy world, you can joke about anything? Nothing is off the table.
yeah.
I, I think obviously, hate speech, and anything that is kicking down, or punching down, that's a no-no. But any topic is up for grabs. It's just how you go about it.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah,
Okay, but
yeah,
no,
absolutely. I think.
because
I
the
mean, I've
time
seen.
go on.
I was just going to say I've seen Jim Jeffries, and Jim Jeffries like gets up to the line that goes across it, and then the line is a mile
It did the Aussie do the ventriloquist ones. I'm thinking Jeff
behind
Dunham
him.
right now.
It's funny. If it makes me laugh.
Yeah,
Jim Jeffries is the
Aussie.
Australian guy.
Oh, he's brilliant. No, because
Yeah.
weirdly, whilst I was I don't know why shit keeps coming up, but when I was TikTok scrolling earlier, when my nature called, I had the Jeff Dunham bit when he had
Uh,
his Ahmed ventriloquists in Saudi Arabia.
yes. Yeah. Right.
That
Yeah.
popped
Yeah.
up, and I was just like, it was so refreshing because I know people say you can and can't joke about things, but like dark humor, and I've always found in the most like darkest of places, dark humor shines.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Because
You ask any doctor. A doctor like doctors have some of the darkest humor. That's the only way they can get
yeah,
themselves through the day.
Mhm.
I just
So
well, my twin's a doctor, and
right.
I do a whole bit on him about being a doctor, and like during COVID, um, okay, basically it goes on yes during COVID, every time a doctor declares somebody dead, they get paid £82 for being on the death certificate.
Right.
Doctors
Yeah.
call it ash cash.
Yeah. 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 I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. No,
there's a whole bit on it, and it's like and he lived next to a care home, and anytime someone passes away, he just went, oh, COVID.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
he,
But like I say, if if it makes you laugh, and as Matt said, if it's not punching down,
Mm.
I don't like punching down. That's the only thing I don't like. And you know that if it makes me laugh, if it's funny, then keep it in. You know, if some people are offended, people are going to be offended by so many different things. You're not going to be able to please all the people all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but you've got to read the room as a comedian. You've got to be able to switch it in
Yeah.
different ways anyway. So your duty is not necessarily to go on and offend somebody. Your duty is to entertain the room. You know, if you go on and read the room wrong and do a whole load of stuff that's just going to send the room flat, then you haven't done your job as an act.
Yeah. Well, I wholly agree,
yeah.
but I do think the host and the event do also have a part to play in it. I mean, I applied for a gig about a month back, and they basically like no ism. So I can't do no jokes about women. I can't do no jokes about race. No jokes about anything. But it was almost like, and he said, if it's a joke that could upset somebody in the room, we don't want it because then they could have a bad night.
No, that
And it was
wouldn't
almost like,
go.
so like I've got to do all my jokes. And it was like, I said, can I do fat jokes? It was like, well, no, because there might be a fat person in the audience. It's like, but I'm fat. Still wasn't allowed. So I was like, okay, so what topics can we do that is not where somebody is not the subject of the comedy?
Yeah, you're never going to get that. You're never going to get it.
And,
But it's how you handle that. I think if I don't think it's down to the host to set those kind of rules anyway. You've had this before, haven't you, Matt? You've had a host actually say a specific joke that he didn't want you to tell.
Yeah.
Because he said it wouldn't work in a room. And but to my mind, is one of Matt's best jokes. So I think you should have said it anyway.
You have the floor.
Oh, we're not going to go there. It was entirely based on the Bible story of Noah's Ark. You familiar with that story?
Yeah, I always make the joke that my two dogs, they're so fucking gay, they'd have gone up the ark together.
Well, what people don't realize is that the next thing that happened to Noah, and this is all in the Bible, you can check it out. I advise using Pete's commentary on the Bible too. But when they eventually reached dry land, Noah planted a vineyard and got off his tits on wine and was raped by his son. It was called Ham. So it's just a bit of material based around that this one promoter decided don't do that, don't do the Noah stuff.
Why?
So,
but why? If the audience aren't receptive, like, I know I go through this so many times on the pod. No one has the right to never not be offended. You can choose to laugh and lie because I always go by that what's the prick's name who just did Glastonbury, who shouted like deaf to the RDF thing. I think the guy was a complete prick, complete wally, but you can't basically say he needs to be arrested. You choose to like something or not like something. That's not for me. Not going to bother.
Yeah.
And
I feel the same way about ABBA.
Pardon? Oh, you can joke about Noah's Ark, but you can't joke about my ABBA. Okay, there is a line, sir. There is a line. Okay, and you very much nearly crossed it when you bring up ABBA. There's my guilty pleasure.
And we're drawing from the line.
So, okay. So, I was going to say. So, how long have you two both been gigging yourself?
Oh, Rob, how long have you been? You've been doing it for ages, haven't you?
I started stand up 2016.
Okay.
I think it was because I went up. I had a sketch show that I went up to Edinburgh with so me and a group of other people, and we did that. And it was great for a week. But the people that I was doing it with, they like all have families and lives doing other things. And I thought I want to carry on doing something, but I can't do a sketch show. So I said I'll just go and do it on my own. So I sort of put a little set together, and that's what I've been doing ever since, really. So yeah, 2016.
Okay.
So what was yours, Matt?
I think I started in 2017, 2016, 2017, probably. Right. I did a course in Bristol. It was great because the pubs in Bristol were really good, and it was on a
Yeah,
Saturday
mate,
afternoon.
I own a micro
Yeah,
pub. Bristol,
really.
yeah, Bristol Owl is just it's up there. It's up there with Cardiff's, and yeah, like yeah, it's
Bristol was
fantastic.
always great. Pre-COVID, as a comedy scene,
Mm.
Bristol was absolutely
Mm.
fantastic. There's a good chance it still is, but since COVID, I haven't really gigged down there. I've got a couple of gigs down there towards the end of the year, but I haven't really sort of got back in. But there was a fantastic comedy scene down there
Yeah.
before COVID.
Okay, so you've both been gigging. I'm just gonna to say 9, 8 years as the average.
Yeah.
How's the comedy world changed since then?
Oh, well, COVID has had an impact. COVID's had an
Yeah.
impact. I've noticed it on audiences, how audiences behave. Um, it's been that's been a big change. To start off with, it was trying to sort of teach the audiences how to do it again, which is sounds weird, but yeah, it has changed a little bit. I think um, getting gigs myself, I've sort of been a bit hit and miss. I don't know whether that's my material, the people, the networks changed, the people, because I used to gig quite regularly. Like I say, it's dropped off a little bit. Well, that's down to my own private life as well. But the actual comedy, I don't think that's changed as far as material and acts and things like that are concerned. But it does feel slightly different. What were your thoughts, Matt?
I don't know. I think it's a bit harder, particularly to get going. And I just get the feeling it's more difficult for people now. Um, there seems to be fewer dedicated comedy open mic nights where you can just rock up and join in.
Hmm.
And like you said, I've not found it easy to get gigs. Thank God we've got the barking toad, because
Yeah,
otherwise, what the hell would we be doing with ourselves?
yeah.
I always ask this question for event people, and if you give the wrong answer, I will be very upset. But I don't think you will. Are you a bringer gig?
No,
No, no,
no.
Well done.
definitely not. Do you know
Well
the
done.
worst thing I thought, and this is no word of a lie, it would be about 6 months ago. I saw a gig advertised, which was a Zoom bringer stayer gig.
Over
What?
Zoom.
It's like it was over Zoom. How you can enforce a bringer stayer on a Zoom gig, I don't know. Why people are still doing Zoom gigs post COVID anyway, I don't know. I
Mm.
mean, they were shit during COVID. So, like,
They
trying to
were.
do one now and call it a bring a stayer, I have no idea what they were expecting. But that is just everything wrapped into one is
No.
like the worst possible format, I think.
What did they
There's
do
the-
before? Like just before he starts, can someone raise their hand in the meeting who came with him?
Yeah, that's the only way they could do it, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And every screen has to be open and visible, and you're not allowed to move. You got to
Uh,
stay there for the entire time. Yeah.
no, I
That's
mean,
like doing online lessons.
I was looking to do and it's saying I was thinking of the works. I was thinking of doing a Zoom night. I get my advice, I can take your advice on this now, of doing it as a gong show and having, so you'd have where I've got it, so you have 25 people on the panel, like the
Yeah.
one guy there, and have all the people in the chat, and then you do it as a poll. And if they vote, if they get over 70% kickoff, then they get kicked off.
It's
Zoom gong
possible.
show.
Yeah, Zoom gong show. That was sort of my
Have you actually done a Zoom gig before? Have
never.
you participated in the
No,
Masters?
never. But I'm sort of going to the deep end, and I'm good at computers. So
My
Yeah.
advice to you is stick to OnlyFans.
that's how you found me, isn't it?
Yeah, I did a Zoom gig. I did a couple of Zoom gigs during COVID, and they're hard work. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one, if you've got like a bit of a flaky internet connection,
Yeah.
then timing just gets screwed up
Says
completely
you,
because
Rob.
you get to the a big build up and the punchline freezes or something like that. You get things like there's people at the audience who
They're in their living rooms. They're going to chat. They're going to get up and get drinks.
want
You'll
to
hear
get out of
the
the kitchen.
dog barking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you have all them muted.
you can,
Oh,
but the problem with that is that you've then got a muted audience.
yeah.
And if you're an act, you got no feedback, and your timing is all generally down to the feedback you're getting from the audience, and
Mm.
that's why it makes it really difficult because comedy is all about timing. So internet is not a good place for
The
keeping
thing I
timing.
liked that we did during COVID was the Barking Toad Mass debate.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was good to do little kind of panel shows, game show type things where what you would have like 3 acts or 6 acts, something like that, and us. And we'd have a topic to debate. And I think that worked quite well.
That was
Um,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
because, I don't think we got an audience.
About a roast battle. You
I
brought
don't
two
like them.
comedians on, and then they roast the shout at each other. Then
I
online,
I
and
hate that. I
That
don't know
would be.
why. I've never liked roast battles. I always feel sorry for somebody.
yeah,
I'm too sensitive. That's my problem.
I think as a format, if you're looking for a format that will work on Zoom, I think a roast battle would work better than a standard gig.
yeah.
I think that would definitely. I'm with Matt. I don't like roast battles, but that's my own personal opinion. But I think as a format, that would work
Mm. I
because
spoke
you
to
can bounce
But
that backwards and
you
forwards
can
between
literally
people because
you
that
can
isn't
do that
necessarily reliant
anyway.
on timing.
mm,
If you want a roast battle, just throw someone up at random, um, and have a go at them, and it's the same thing. You don't even
yeah.
have to know them.
There's one a guy called Carl who I've had on. I think it was episode 20 or something. He hosts one in Brighton, and it's a nice battle
Oh,
Okay,
where they've
we
got
got
to
to be
go on
nice about
stage
somebody.
and they've got to compliment each other in like a funny way.
I like that. I like
that's
that idea.
That's just so refreshing. Like,
Yeah, I like that.
but he said like
That's
as like
new. Yeah,
comedians were so competitive, like they were doing things like buying someone a star or like buying them a piece of land. And
yeah,
like Joe, like the natural competitives came out, but in a nice
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I just thought that
Yeah,
was so
right. Yeah.
wholesome.
No, I like that. I like that. One of my reasons for not liking roast battles is because I think that the vast majority of people who get into stand-up comedy are back in the day when they were like at school, generally they they were making people laugh because they were trying to stop themselves from being bullied.
Class.
Because that generally
oh yeah.
is why people go into comedy, right? So I think if you're then going to stand up and be bullied by somebody, you're just playing into your own fears so much. And I just think,
Mhm.
and I haven't got it in myself to be horrible to people. You know what I mean? I can't do it. I can't pick holes in people because I'm so self-conscious about my own frailties that I couldn't then go on and say, oh, I can't even think of of an insult to give somebody. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, you've got a
but
point. I am
that's
that.
me.
Yeah,
That's me.
you
But
are right.
yeah,
If Barking Toad ever did a roast battle, it probably would just be about cooking, wouldn't it?
yeah, more than likely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We just have a battle about who's the worst cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it goes,
Lamb or
so
chicken?
you know, you've both been in comedy a while. What would you say the looking back on your time is the worst joke you've ever written, and you thought, oh my god, this is amazing.
Oh, there's so many.
I'm yet to write a good one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um. Uh. I'm trying to think.
I wrote a bit once about how whales have got massive penises, but they can't reach them with their flippers. And that's why whales beach themselves because they want a wank, so they just rub up against the shore. Um, and looking back, I was quite proud of that at the time, but that is shit.
I was thinking about it the other night. Actually, I think I don't necessarily say it was one that I was proud of, but one that I delivered on stage that I regretted doing as soon as I did it. And it was, and I can't even remember what the joke was, but it was something to do with uh, a toilet in Palestine that was occupied. And I can't remember how it went, but um, there was a Jewish contingent in the audience that took exception to it. And I thought I'm not going to do that again because I don't know my audience well enough to drop something like that in. because I'm not here to be political, and I don't know enough about the situation to be able to do it. So I thought, no, I'm going to stand back from that. So yeah, sometimes I'm not very good at reading a room.
I'll do mine now to share the pain. It was during a gong show, and as soon as I said it, was bomb, 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 straight off. And so it was a bit, it's a fat bit. And then like this bit's a true story. One of my mates, he's a fireman, and he's got himself so big he can't get up the ladder anymore. So they call him now a bungalow specialist. Like that bit's true. And then the bit I thought, the second I got a stab, before I got a stage, I was like, oh, I thought of this, let me add it to it. I followed it up with, he's so fat and ugly now, he's actually just been granted a visa to this new country. I can't remember what it's called, but I know they wave a rainbow flag. Talking about the LGBTs.
Yeah.
Half the audience, this was in, like woke London you get.
Yeah.
Instant offence, bomb, bomb, bomb. Like booed off. And it was going so well.
I've done a couple of gong shows and never got very far with it. Well, I said not get. I've done okay, but the worst gong show I did was in Bristol, and it was they gave cards out to people in the audience, so it's all random. So these people got to judge you. It wasn't a whole audience; it was just these three people, and I could see one of the people was on the front row, and he had this card, and I'd had two cards come up, and I'm carrying on. And this guy on the front row with his card was absolutely pissing himself laughing, and he was really enjoying it. But his partner next to him kept nudging him. She's going, put it up, because she didn't like it. And in the end, you could see the look on his face. He went, put it up like that.
I mean, gong shows have no. Gong shows have no like traction of who's actually good at comedy or not. They have no traction of who's good. It's just at that moment, at that given point. And to be with gong shows, I enjoy them, but I feel like in London and some other places where they do them, it's a false promise to get a weekend bill.
Yeah, right.
Like, they don't want them all to be good, because then they'll be there till 1 o'clock in the morning. They want
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, with their promises.
Someone's always being set up for a fall in a gong show.
Yeah. Well, it's Gladiator Arena. Do you know what I mean? Like they did stick in the slaves as well to get fucked up.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, go on then, Matt. What's the time you've bombed hardest on the stage?
Frequently.
In general.
There was a kind of a comedy festival thing somewhere near Birmingham. That we'd been to that venue before. I won't say where it is, but Rob knows exactly where I'm talking about. And we'd done pretty well, hadn't we?
Yeah, did very well.
And I don't know where you were. I got invited to the festival they have there. And I thought, I'll try something new. I'll try something really new and different. And I went out in front of the audience that they get there. And I said, now we're going to do something really highbrow. And I lost them like that. They just all turned off. I cried.
So, go on. I'll leave it with this one, two-parter. Why should people come perform at Barking Toad, and why should people come watch Barking Toads?
Oh, they want to come to perform at Barking Toads because we're actually really nice.
Yeah.
And we look after our acts. We as Rob said before, it was set up for acts. It was always meant to be the sort of night that acts would enjoy coming to and performing at. And so that's why they should come and perform there. Rob?
Yeah. Quite right. Audiences should come and see it because I think because we look after our acts, the acts are nice and relaxed and enjoy it, and therefore they're gonna have a nice balanced night of good top quality. And we haven't really mentioned our headliners either that we have on, but we're quite selective about the headliners we get on. And they are we pick those. Just we know the headliners that we want to get on, so we'll approach them and say, "Can you do it?" And actually, we've got a couple of headliners coming towards the back end of this year who started off as doing 10-minute spots before, so we've seen them before. We know what they can do, and we've gone. They could be a headliner. They could easily be a headliner.
It's always lovely when that happens.
Yeah, it's really good. So you can get, I suppose you call that progression. I don't like the sort of progression because we haven't got enough influence in the comedy world to say we can give you progression to other nights. But
you're investing in people.
Say again, sorry.
You're investing in them.
Yeah. We try to, and what we try to do is say if we find acts that we like out there, we'll spread the word through the comedy forums and say you need to get these guys on your bill because they're really good. They'll be good for headlining or whatever. And we try to give something back to them if we possibly can.
Okay, I know. So I've got a couple more actually now that have come to my head. What advice would you both give to a new comedian or someone who's never been on the stage before and is contemplating getting on?
Matt, you can go with that one.
Just do it. Firstly, find the courage within yourself, then to actually find an open mic night and get on and do it. And don't give up. Just keep applying and applying and applying. Because I think it's quite difficult to find nights at the moment, and I think you've just got to be fairly tenacious about it and keep going.
I think it's about there's a couple of things I'd say. Like one is try as soon as you can to find your style. So it's you who's out on stage, but also one thing I found early doors was that I'd written a lot of material. Now my style's completely different to Matt, so I'm a one-liner comedian, so I do a lot of stuff. So I got about sort of 30 or 40 jokes in a 10-minute spot. So I've just got to write and keep working them and plugging them in and find a way that works. But the thing I learned early doors was I had to perform it. I couldn't just go out and read these jokes, have a whole list of jokes and read them out. I had to perform that. I had to create it, and I had to create somebody who's slightly different to me. It's still me on stage, but just that comedian me who goes out and performs it. And if you have that comedian you can hide behind that character. If you're a bit nervous, you can just throw yourself behind that character, and that gets you over that hurdle. So if you can find that character early doors, then I think you're onto a winner. But just keep doing it, and don't let anybody tell you you're not funny, because everybody's funny to a great or a less.
Yeah, I say that to everyone. Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, but also don't rely on formulas. I mean, there's a lot of like comedy courses that you can do, and there's things that you can say, oh, no, this is your route to get it. So you've got to do this, then you've got to be a middle spot, then you've got to be a headliner, then you've got to work an hour to get to Edinburgh. And if you get through Edinburgh, it'll be fine. Because it doesn't always work like that. No, it very rarely works that you're going to suddenly be on everybody's pinnacle, which is live at the Apollo for some reason. I have no idea why. But just enjoy it, write what you want to do, make people laugh, and the progression will come from that, I think. It's the same with anything with music and all those things. Right place, right time, you'll make it.
I love that. Well, I'll do one more quick one. First of all, I one-line comedy is my guilty pleasure, and then I get annoyed that I laugh at it. I've only got one-line joke that I've never used, and I'm proud of it. It's a joke about cancer. I hope you don't get it.
All right.
Nice and simple.
Very nice.
Nice and simple.
I like that.
You can steal it. Don't worry. I've never used it, and it's just like I'm not a one-line comedian. And okay, so I've been gigging now for about 3 months. Okay, I'm a new comic myself. I've got my first paid on Saturday because hashtag I'm funny. I'm smashing it. And I'm not gonna lie, I am good. Like I'm not doing my own ego. I've hosted karaoke for 4 years. I know how to be on stage.
Yeah, right.
But when the first couple of nights I went to this open mic place, and the guy said to me, and I want your advice on this. He said, "You're good, but your comedy isn't generic enough, so you're not going to win everyone in the room. If you did more generic comedy, you'd progress a lot quicker than doing the material you want to do." The floor is yours.
Do your material. Do you. Because that's where the funny is coming from. It's coming from you. You start trying to adjust
yeah. Can you imagine if anybody said that to Eddie Izzard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Eddie Izzard is like nobody who was ever out there before. And, he talks about jam a lot for some reason. But Eddie Izzard is one of the best comedians going. And, there's no such thing as generic comedy. I there's one of the things that the selection process of the acts that come to us. If there are certain tropes that come through, I'll go, no, I'm not having them because I've heard that before. So there's one particular trope that I will pick up on that I'll go, no, I don't like that. It's like, for example,
Dating apps.
there was one comedian. Say again.
Dating apps. All I bloody hear about is dating apps.
Yeah, dating apps is one. The other one that is really that really gets me is a version of like somebody who's saying to me the other day, "Oh, you are such a smelly fat twat," and I have to turn around and say, "Oh, shut up, mum," and it's that whole. It's my mum, or it's my nan, or it's my dad, or whatever, insulting me, and it's like that. There are so many versions of the same joke, and after a while, you go, "Yeah, I've heard it before." So generic comedy is, I would say, no. Be yourself. Be your own comedian. Do what you want to do. People will either come along with you or they won't. And this is another thing I would probably say as well is, and this is hard. This is a really hard thing to do, is find your audience somehow because everybody has their own audience. Like my one-liner stuff, as much as I hate to say it, my one-liner stuff is very popular with sort of people 40 upwards. Because it's. I don't like the phrase "dad jokes," but that's the audience that will get it, and generally they're the people that will laugh. Youngsters who I haven't got the term of reference for because I'm not a youngster anymore. I'm 50
kids
years
anymore,
old.
Rob.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what a TikTok is. I wouldn't know it if it jumps up and threw itself at me. Do you know what I mean? My terms of reference are completely different. So you've got to find your audience. So if you find your audience early, that's as good as anything else.
Okay, so would you say you should play when you're starting out, you should play every room you're offered, or should you sort of early realize, you know what, it's not going to be my crowd?
I would err on the side of getting as many gigs under your belt as you can.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Stage time is massively important.
What you said before, Rob, about kind of finding your own voice and how you are on stage and the character you are on stage, I think you only do that with stage time. That comes with doing it repeatedly. And even if you end up doing a gig, as I have done, in a park, in front of a couple of people and a dog, right? It's still performing, and you're still kind of using those muscles. And you are, you're just getting more and more experience. You're hearing that voice from you again and again and again, and that's the voice that you become when you're on stage.
And experience is everything. And stage time is get as much as you can because as you go further down. So, did you say you've been doing about 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months. This will be my 10th gig, and it's my first. They've all been 5 so far, and it's been my first paid 10.
Yeah. So the more you do this, let's say over the next like 12 months, the more gigs you do over that time, that will help you find your audience and that'll help you find your stage performer and so on. And then you can start to be more selective because like Matt says, muscle memory for comedy is vitally important as well. So you go along and you'll do a gig in a village hall full of people that might not be your audience, but you got the muscle memory there of knowing how to deal with a particular reaction to one of your jokes so that you can then take that to another venue where people are doing it and then you can feed off of that and you can expand on that because you've dealt with it before in a horrible hostile situation and it's so much nicer when it becomes but use everything as an experience. Even the bad experiences are experiences.
I'm using this as my experience. I'm getting advice. I'm helping the community learn, and I'm learning myself. So I can't be asked to pay for coaching. So, I thought I'd get people like you on.
Right, yeah,
It's nice and easy. Suckers.
yeah.
You're cleverer than you look, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, one final one.
Me and Matt are still learning. We'll carry on learning until we stop doing it. There's no right or wrong answer to this.
One throwaway last question. Who's the funniest out of you two?
Matt.
Rob.
Oh, that was such a business partner answer, wasn't it? You both copped out on that one. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers, guys.
And anybody who wants to get in touch with us, just go to the Barking Toad website, which is www.barkingtoadcomedy.com, and you can get in touch with us from there and see some bits and pieces that we do on there. And we got a podcast as well that we do periodically that you can find some episodes on there as well. So
that'll all be in the description below, guys, as well. So,
perfect. Thank
if
you.
Rob didn't cut out on that bit, they will be in the description. Okay?
Brilliant.
Cheers, guys.